Chapter 124 of Chainsaw Man makes it very clear that we are currently witnessing one of the most disturbing and powerful devils we have ever seen, and I mean, I cannot stress this enough. The end of this chapter has some truly nightmare-inducing scenes that'll leave you genuinely scared of what's to come, and on top of that, we get an even deeper dive into Asa's disturbing emotional baggage. Also, really quick before we go on, if you guys enjoy Chainsaw Man content like this, then you made a best friend today because I post about Chainsaw Man each and every week on this channel, so you definitely want to be subscribed with notifications on so you know each and every time the next Chainsaw Man chapter or Chainsaw Man video drops on this channel. This horror movie of a chapter starts off with Yoru still attempting to snap Asa out of the trauma-filled trance that she was in the previous chapter caused by the falling devil. Of course, this is where Asa thought back to the day that she lost her cat because of this stupid orphanage caretaker woman or whatever she is. But in this chapter, Yoru attempts to keep Asa conscious by using pain to kind of keep her senses about her. She does this by turning one of her nails into this like fingernail knife, and this actually ends up working because Yoru is able to take over again and begins deducing who this powerful devil could possibly be that's causing all of this to happen. Of course, us as the readers, we already know that this is the falling devil because they just straight up introduced themselves that way. But it's worth noting that before arriving to the conclusion that we are already at as readers, Yoru lists out things such as moon, trauma, gravity, and ending one's life. This could be Fujimoto hinting to the reader that the falling devil doesn't just represent the fear of falling, but also symbolically symbolizes the fear of falling into despair as well. That feeling that you might get when your world was just turned upside down through some sort of traumatic event and you don't know which way is up or down in your life anymore, which I think gets represented quite literally in this chapter with the ability of the falling devil to cause random people to just start floating towards the sky and not have any sense of gravity, while also experiencing deep traumas just like Asa was. Well, as Yoru is kind of sorting all of this out in her head, Asa starts picturing her drowning cat Crambon, which again starts putting Asa back into this trance, so Yoru's response to this is to cut her hand with the nail knife that she just made. Clearly though, Asa is still under the falling devil's influence because she again begins to drift towards the sky, but actually gets caught on this overhanging section of roof from a building, so she's kind of just suspended upside down, still technically floating, but the roof is actually stopping her from going any farther. This is when it's revealed that Asa can't let Yoru fully take over her because she's actually afraid of Yoru, and this obviously really frustrates Yoru because all she's trying to do is keep Asa alive by running away and, you know, looking to fight another day, but Asa's not really letting her do this. And we also have to note that the falling devil's floating ability doesn't work on Yoru, so really this is the only way for them to be able to escape. So Yoru, being upset, yells at Asa saying that she needs to trust her and what she's trying to do so that they can get out of this, but Asa actually snaps back at her and says, "How can I trust you? Are you stupid?" And from here I want to actually read what's literally being said on the pages of this chapter because I think it really brings us to the root of why Asa is such a guarded person and so unwilling to let people in, while also kind of giving us an insight as to how she feels about Yoru and their relationship right now, because we haven't really touched on that recently. Asa goes on to say, "I don't know the first thing about you. You're always saying scary things and you take over my body whenever you want and you cut my hand." And of course Yoru tries saying that, you know, she's only trying to help her. She's trying to get them out of the situation, so she needs to think more logically because the influence of the falling devil is kind of fogging her mind. But Asa just goes on to say, "You can look inside my mind and see, right, what I'm really afraid of? I have trust issues, but I'm lonely. So once in a while I'll approach someone, but something always goes wrong and I get hurt, and then I wind up alone again. Solitude and companionship, I'm afraid of both of them." So this is pretty much summarizing that Asa is a recluse, like a real hermit at heart, and anytime she's tried to open up to someone or find a friend, it always ends up blowing up in her face, and we've actually seen this happen already a couple times throughout part 2. It happened when she tried accepting Bucky and getting along with her fellow students at the beginning of part 2. It also happened with Yuko, and we all know how that went down, and most recently it happened with Denji because she still thinks that she was stood up by him. I mean, I think it's something that many of us can relate to, honestly. When you get hurt or betrayed betrayed by someone you consider to be a close friend, a lover, or even a family member, it always leaves you thinking twice about trusting someone else from then on, right? It's like the root of trust issues here. I really do think it's something that each one of us can kind of connect with and really feel for Asa here. I mean, it really does give you a lot to think about, but we get no time to sit here with Asa and think about it because we jump right to one of the most disgusting and horrifying scenes of the entirety of part 2, in my opinion, as we get taken back to the Falling Devil and get a good idea of what she's been up to in this short amount of time. We first see a group of devil hunters seemingly dead on the ground with their noses, ears, and tongues ripped out, and we quickly learn where all of those things went because we see the Falling Devil actually use these bits of human parts to make a soup that's being offered up on this mangled up human with like their eyes wired open and their mouth sewn shut and their bodies like completely contorted in this weird way and just completely shaven bald. Really disgusting stuff. Now, if this wasn't terrifying enough for you, we then see a hell door suddenly open up to let out this massive slug looking devil that's just casually munching on a head and wearing a freaking bib. I mean, like, the imagery of this is so freaking ridiculous. Not only is this sight completely insane, but it also confirms that all the people we saw drifting towards the sky and through these hell doors in the sky in the previous chapter are actually being sent to be meals for these devils residing in hell. As the slug monster chows down on the mangled human and the soup off panel, thankfully, the Falling Devil declares that it's almost time for the main course, which is none other than Asa and Yoru. Now, I don't know if Asa and Yoru are going to be fighting this slug monster first before they get to the Falling Devil, or the Falling Devil is just going to go straight to them, but I really do hope that Asa and Yoru get their stuff sorted out before this happens, or at the very least, Denji finally shows up and we see some like actual action, some tides being turned here. Not really sure how Denji's going to do it because we all saw what happened to him the last time he went up against a primal fear, but I mean, something has to happen here because the situation's looking very dire. All I know is that Fujimoto doesn't seem to be looking to press on the brakes anytime soon in these next couple chapters, so I absolutely cannot wait to see what he comes up with next. If you're just as excited as I am about these upcoming chapters, then you definitely want to click the video you see on your screen right now, where I talk about the possibility of power returning to the story very soon. And I think we have some evidence to prove this actually, so you definitely want to check that one out. That's it for today's video, guys. Have an absolutely wonderful night, and I'll see you guys in the next one.